Let's maul in the Central Committee. Let's cringe in the Central Committee. Let's bog in the Central Committee right now.
I want to try and figure out some specifics on what we think can change the dynamic for workers. Where can we do it from top down rather than bottom up?
Well, I think the one thing to start with is way before they become workers and way before we're worried about the corporations, we have a failing K-12 education system in the United States. Those young people will never have a fighting chance if we don't take care of them. And I think that's the biggest problem this country faces. It's been that way for 10 years. We measure it, we don't fix it.
But isn't if I can though,
start.
isn't that also still a function of, education is also a function of poverty, and if you're asking teachers to fix
More
the
than just
inherent
teach. Yes,
systemic
I agree.
economic disparities, I think you're putting too much on people.
I'm not blaming the teachers. I'm saying.
I'm just
Wait,
saying.
what? I'm sorry, Chad. I got distracted. I had to ban someone. I had to ban someone. So hold on. Sorry.
A fighting chance if we don't take care of them. I think the one thing to start with is way before they become workers and way before we're worried about the corporations, we have a failing K-12 education system in the United States. Those young people will never have a fighting chance if we don't take care of them. And I think that's the biggest problem this country faces. It's been that way for 10 years.
Okay, so this is liberal crap, which is always blaming the teachers or our K-12 school system, because neoliberals have this disgusting, vile belief that teachers should be social workers, teachers should be psychologists, teachers should be doctors. Teachers need to solve every fucking issue goes through the K through 12 system, as opposed to like providing children with meals, providing children with stable housing, providing children with clean air and clean water and not lead paint in their homes. Everything is about the education system. The other thing is the education system is trash because we have charter schools, because we have private schools, because we have a patchwork of school districts which are used to racially segregate communities and cause disproportionate funding to flow where it's not needed and not enough funding to flow where it is needed. The K-12 system, our problem is it's too far right. We are way too far to the right. We need to ban private schools at the K-12 level, outright ban. We need to consolidate school districts into county or even statewide school districts. We need to radically redistribute wealth and funding for education, and we need to increase funding for education. We need to unionize every single teacher and increase their pay. But that would cost money, and that would mean the rich white people's kids might have to go to the same school as a immigrant kid or a black kid, and you can't have that.
We measure it, we don't fix it.
But isn't
that's
if I can
a
though,
start.
isn't that also still a function of, education is also a function of poverty, and if you're asking teachers to fix
More
the
than just
inherent
teach. Yes,
systemic
I agree.
economic disparities, I think you're putting too much on people.
I'm
Nice,
not blaming
Murray.
the teachers. I'm
just saying.
saying if you start out that far behind when you come into your first job, good grief.
But you
Okay, well, first of all, it's because we don't have universal pre-K. We don't have housing. We don't have nutrition. If you're talking about an 18-year-old, that's way too late. You need to be there at birth and prenatal, providing complete to support for every pregnant woman and every young infant and every child. This is the thing. It has to be from literal before the cradle if you want to give children the best opportunity to fit their potentialities. Miss Massacre, thanks for the tier 1.
Makes everything we're going to suggest much, much harder.
Education is not a panacea. Education has become a political ruse. Education shifts responsibility from public onto individuals. If only you work hard and study hard, you will be fine. If you're black and your head of household has a college degree, you have less wealth than a white family where the head dropped out of high school. So that obviously is established historically. I mean, we got the causality wrong. Perhaps it is wealth itself that generates capacity to get a degree or a certain amount of
This
education.
is so true.
At the end of the day, we need an economy that empowers people with
Holy shit. This analysis is incredibly correct. What happened? What? Potato salad, thanks for the tier 1 gifted sub. What? What? That's not true. Education definitely does do a lot, but it's not the panacea, which, in case you want to know what panacea means, basically panacea is a cure-all, a miracle cure that fixes all ills. Literally what libs think education does is a panacea. In the literal sense, the actual original sense of panacea, education that's what libs think education is.
resources well beyond education, including education, but many other factors like good health, like a job, literally having a job, right to a job.
I have a bachelor's degree. I'm still impoverished. There are people with bachelor's degrees making $15 an hour.
Right.
I was a gifted kid in high school, right? The world was my oyster, but I'm still living in poverty with a bachelor's degree in this country.
A lot of the money
shouldn't be
for
that way.
education actually is lost in the tax subsidies that we give to corporations. So
Right.
they're inexplicably and inextricably linked. Okay, so education is one thing. Amy Jo, what would you say you need?
A care infrastructure. You want to talk about early education, we need to include early childhood education as well. You cannot have workforce participation if
Education equals debt for me. It did not. Jobs do not pay well. Well, why should you have debt? Why should education equal debt? Education is a societal investment. And by the way, here's the thing about investments. If you know anything about investing, let's give the example for all you libs that are in the chat hate watching. I'll give you an example with an analogy that will maybe make sense to you. Venture capitalists do not invest in one company and then go, this company will definitely succeed. What they do is they spread their money around between 100 different companies, and they look for that one company that's going to go 1,000x in growth. But they try their best to find a good company with a good leadership and a good business plan and a good track record. And even with all of that, most of the companies they pick don't succeed. But a venture capitalist doesn't go, wow, I picked a company that doesn't succeed. I'm a bad venture capitalist. They point to the one that results in 10,000 times growth as, wow, now I'm rich. And education should be looked at the same way. We educate and provide for every citizen because we don't know what their potentials are until they actually until we can look retrospectively back. We don't know what somebody's potentials are going to be or the outcome is going to be. And by the way, we just need a bunch of people to serve each other in our society. The average person produces far more wealth than they consume by the time they're dead. That's called growth. That's called productivity. That's why our society gets wealthier every year, is because there's net exploitation from the working class. So education should not be looked at as if every single student absolutely must produce this amount of wealth by this point, or else it's a failure. That's absurd. And that's what the debt cycle creates. It creates you must immediately from leaving college begin to produce more than it costs for you to live and pay your debt. That's insane. That's insane. That's a terrible way to structure an education system. And by the way, what are the societies with the best education systems? The societies that aim for equity, the societies that aim to exceed every person's full potential and not somebody who's a money-grubbing piece of shit profiteer.
if you do not have child care. Whenever a child care in the state of West Virginia for one child for a private pay family costs more for 1 year than a year at West Virginia University or Marshall University, which is our state's two largest schools. And so parents are paying more for child care than they are for college tuition. So what's going to incentivize me to go to work?
Child care has been a middle-class issue for 2 decades now, on the left and the right. If you go to solidly Republican congressional districts, you will find that the leading
I'm curious if your numbers are up because Hassan Chatter's checking you out when he's on break. Of what? I mean, I've always had the crossover, and plus, you know, I've been on Hassan's stream like 10 times. So I wouldn't be surprised if Hassan viewers watch me because I've been on his stream like 10 times. You know, that might be a crossover link. But yes, it does indeed help me when he's, you know, if he doesn't go live, then more people will watch me. Duh. And I've always been around 2K. Anyway, let's keep going.
Issue for a lot of women is health and childcare. That's it. It's really simple.
I don't even think this should be a political issue, though. Like, start paying attention to the Maslow's hierarchy of needs, right? Like, I have a social work background.
Oh, shit. Maslow's hierarchy. Oh!
I mean, this is very simple shit. I mean, I don't even know why people are overreacting. It's very simple. You need housing. You need. I mean, she's totally right. A society, oh my God, this is so fucking obvious. This is the social democratic or democratic socialist or socialist, scientifically socialist model of how you build a society, which is you look at every person and you go, how do we make you feel self-actualized? How do we make you feel socially valued? How do we feed you? How do we clothe you? How do we shelter you? How do we educate you? How do we provide for your social needs? How do we facilitate you finding someone that you match well with? Every element, leisure, everything is considered, and we can't guarantee that you're going to find every aspect of your life to the fullest degree, but we focus on what makes people happy. Fun fact, I came into the Central community before I came into the Hassan community. Really started watching Hassan when Mike got banned for a couple weeks. Oh, for fuck's sake. Food, shelter, and cussy, exactly.
Bachelor's degree.
I wanted to be a social worker when I grew up.
Joe.
But I mean, you know, it's not rocket science to me. Just think about the basic needs of human beings.
Okay, that was not bad. Good job, John. Because she got, and by the way, did you notice the PhD guy fucking sweating, talking to a normal person? The PhD guy was getting rolled. The guy who spent 10 years in government blaming school system got destroyed. That was actually not bad.